Hello, welcome to 4 Minutes Closer to God. My name is Doug. Wanted to discuss a subject that surprised me 4 or 5 years ago because all my life I've known the Earth was a globe. It rotated on its axis once a day and then spun around the sun once a year and was flying through space at a tremendous speed, so that we have at the equator the Earth spinning 1,000 miles an hour, and it goes 66,000 miles an hour around the sun in its orbit, and 666,000 miles an hour in the Milky Way galaxy. And so this tremendous speed we don't get a feeling for, but we do hear from it and see it on even movies like Universal Studios will have a picture of the globe, and we get pictures sent back from space of a globe. And all the illustrations and stuff we have are of the Earth as a globe. And so when people started saying, well, the Earth may be flat, I was just chuckled because it's silly. Ignorant people believe that, and that's what I understood since I was 5 years old. But I thought, well, okay, I'll take a look. And so part of me was struck by the fact that in the Bible, it does not indicate that the Earth moves. It does indicate that it's set on pillars under a dome, and that the sun, moon, and stars are circling above us. So the early cosmologies from the ancients, say the Hindus, Mesopotamians, Sumerians, Egyptians, and the like, had this kind of overarching dome idea in their pictures, their conceptions of what the Earth was like. And so for our parlance nowadays, we might say, well, it's a snow globe with a flat surface inside and a dome over the top. Well, that's what the Bible pictures this whole thing as, and so what are we supposed to make of it? Because science obviously tells us otherwise. And so it was a conundrum for me, but I started to think about it, and it's like, okay, I'm a creationist. I believe in a young Earth, and that science needs to have an old Earth, and so they make sure that the ages they come up with are billions of years. And so if the Earth is young, then evolution cannot have taken place, and it requires God to have done the creation, where if the Earth is under a firmament, and the firmament called rakia in the Hebrew is like a shaped out metal dome, like you would take a piece of or lump of metal and form it out into a dome shape, and that then holds waters apart. And so we have the waters under the firmament kept back from the waters above the firmament, and what are we to do with that? And so the whole system in the Bible, if we are to believe the Bible, would indicate a different one than we are told by way of science and our typical understanding. And so what evidence is there? Well, if you were to say, why does the atmosphere not just float off into space? Because there's a vacuum of space, and our atmosphere on the Earth, what holds it in place? Well, the answer typically would be gravity. And if the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour, why isn't the water just sloshing all over the place? Like if you were to have a wet tennis ball and spin it, the water just throws off from a central plane. Also, we know that the Earth is round because ships will disappear over the horizon. That means the curvature of the Earth is hiding that ship. But I have seen, standing on the beach in California, all of Catalina Island, which is 40 miles away, and that's not possible if there is a curvature intervening between where I was standing and the Catalina coast. And so there are things that give you pause if you really stop to think about it deeply. And so, for example, the phases of the moon, they don't line up with what we've been told. The sun is shining and the moon is reflecting the sun's shine. There are times when the axis of the incidence of the light doesn't point to where the sun is. And there are times when the moon will be up in the afternoon sky and the sun is setting. You can both be seen clearly, and why is not the full moon lit up? Or, for example, if the sun is 93 million light years away, 93 million miles away, light years would make it considerably farther, then the incidence of the light on the Earth should be coming pretty much in a straight line downward. But if you look at the clouds that are separating in the sky and beams or shafts of light are hitting down on the Earth, they come at angles. And so they would point, if you point back to where the sun is, give you the sense that it's much closer. So there's lots of things like that that give me pause. And I must admit that I like the idea of a vast universe where we can go roam and see the beauties of it in a glorified body, but I have to go with what the Bible says. And so if the Bible says it's flat, and there's many passages that would indicate it's immovable, so it's geocentric, then why do we have this in the Bible when it's not true? And we would just have to say they had a pre-scientific understanding or a mythological understanding, and we can now make it right by way of our science that goes along with astronomy and the like. And so I'm open to the idea of a flat Earth. I'm not fully convinced, but it's something that gives me pause.